Access Live. My name is Lada Tatiana Lizniak, and I shall be hosting. We are talking tonight about breast cancer. And many people think that breast cancer is an old woman's disease. But these ladies obviously are not old, in no way. My three young guests are all breast cancer survivors, and they're here to tell their stories. Welcome to the show, guys. We have, I'm going to get this right, we have Gina, Jessica, and Janice. And you told me I wouldn't get it. not a problem at all. Okay, well, you know what? American Cancer Society actually says that they say that many people think that breast cancer among young women is on the rise, which is not true. That's what I have read. It's not true. It's actually that awareness is up. And the fact that the ones who do get it, the cancer is much more, it's quicker, and it's more aggressive. Does that sound correct to you guys, from what you'll know?
I think everything except the part about you saying that it's not on the rise, because I tend to have seen now, since I've become a breast cancer survivor, that a lot of the women I've met, a lot of pregnant women especially, are being diagnosed with breast cancer at a younger age, in their early 30s.
And
I've seen on Long Island,
which might be what the cause is.
It could be other places too, but as far as I know, because that's what is available for me to say at this point.
Okay.
So.
Why don't we quickly go around and say age? Well, obviously, you all were diagnosed in your early 20s, in your middle to late 20s. So, Jessica, why don't you give me your story?
Okay, I was 25 when I was diagnosed. I'm 26 now. I'm a one-year survivor. I had a bout with Hodgkin's disease when I was 12 years old. I was heavily radiated, mantle radiation, which is chest radiation. At the time, I didn't know that radiation does cause breast cancer in a lot of Hodgkin's disease patients. Years later, at 25, I found a lump in my breast. All the doctors dismissed it. I was too young to have breast cancer, but I persevered with my feeling that this was something that couldn't be ignored, and finally sonogram showed that it was a cancerous mass, and I had to have a mastectomy. Once you're radiated to the chest, you cannot have radiation again, so I was not a candidate for a lumpectomy. So I was given a mastectomy, and then followed by chemotherapy.
Okay, and then you had an implant.
Yes, I had immediate reconstruction at the time.
Right, okay, all right. So 20 and 26, right? My God. Okay, you're next, Gina.
Well, I found mine when I was 30, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was 31. I was pregnant at the time.
Pregnant, and you were diagnosed with breast cancer?
Right.
Okay, all right.
I was in my 8th month when I was diagnosed. I had to have my son induced early.
Right.
And I had the lumpectomy when I was diagnosed. They took it out, and I had him, my son, and then they did a quadrantectomy.
Which is like a partial mastectomy.
Yes,
okay,
they took more tissue out and lymph nodes, and after that I had chemo and I had radiation.
Okay, and now, so you did not have reconstructive?
No.
No, but does it look different?
It's a little smaller.
A little smaller, which doesn't bother you, really.
No.
Right, at this point you're just alive.
At this point, right.
That's kind of the
so
point.
much other things going on.
Right. Also, I do want to say this is a call-in show, so please give us a call, 829-6126, 829-6127. Join us, comment, question, a date with any of these gorgeous women. Except for Jessica, who's engaged, I'm sorry, unfortunately. But we're all single, right? Yes. Why not, right? Okay. Your turn, my dear Janice.
Nice, that's nice.
Okay.
My case definitely less severe than these two. Someone left some sort of health magazine, I can't remember what it was called, in my apartment, and I did a self-exam at it was a month before my 27th birthday, and found the lump, and just knew right away. I don't know how it was for you guys, but I knew right away that it was cancer, because this thing was a stone. It was like this foreign thing.
And you just felt it. That is so ironic, though. So you just picked up the magazine, and you're like, you never did it before.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what the heck,
That is so weird.
Give this a try, and sure enough, it turned out to be like a centimeter lump. So I just had a lumpectomy, and you can barely even see the scar anymore, and it's wasn't all that big of a deal. I did find a little more cancer about, I guess, 6 months later. I went back for my check, and they found a little bit more, but they took that out. I was able to do all lumpectomies,
And are your breasts different? I mean, do they look?
They're really not.
Right.
It was. They're also isolated, and it was just easy.
Right.
It's, as you guys know, it's all about kind of like location and
Right.
And I had no nodes involved, so
Which means the nodes are the nodes
your
are
lymph nodes. They check,
right.
a certain amount. How many did they check for you guys?
13 for myself.
They only got about
Wait,
7
what are we talking about? Hold on. What's this
This
node
is
thing?
a lymph node dissection. When they take out the tumor, they determine at the time of the lumpectomy by doing prognostic factors and things like that whether it's invasive. If it's invasive, they go on to remove lymph nodes because what the breast cancer does in many instances is the first place it metastasizes to is the lymph nodes in the armpit. And from there, it can travel through the lymph system and then metastasize in larger organs, and that is what actually is what kills most of the women who have breast cancer.
Did either of you have any positive?
No.
No, yeah. If you have positive, then that's not a good thing.
This is what young breast cancer women talk about. I love this. Okay. And because you were very motivated and you which is, I think is great. Obviously, you guys know she started the foundation.
Right.
Miss Modest doesn't want to say anything. Go ahead. Go for it. Which is a
So-
big BAM. Right here we have the big BAM organization right here. Foundation. Go for it.
Yeah, I just exactly started doing more and more research, and for the number of women under 35 has more than tripled over the last 5 years. Now, there's been a lot on the news recently.
Right.
You're right about, is it that the numbers have actually tripled, or is it just that women are finding it earlier?
Right.
So that's what you were talking about. That's where the question has arisen. I'm not sure which it is, but for the number, and they're saying it's going to be, in the next 2 years, it'll be more like quadrupled for our
It just seems like I hear of it more and more.
Which is ridiculous.
I just keep finding more and more young people
When I read
diagnosed.
that, I was like, that can't be. But it was American Cancer Society. I would think that it was, But in any case, we'll find out.
And by next year, Detroit Press had come out with something. By next year, over 1/3 of the women diagnosed with breast cancer will be under 40. So it was just time to do something for young women. I went to a lot of different fundraisers, and just everything was like a luncheon or a walk, and it was all women like 45 to 70. And I just said, there's got to be something else to sort of bring in the younger community and to raise awareness more. And actually, our last event, a woman found a lump who's 31, and she just said, I never would have checked myself.
She was just at the event?
Yeah, she was at our event this past February in New York. And
so you just do basically really fun events, like if you want to do a close-up on this right here. It's what was this? You want to just...
That was a Latin dance event. That was our most recent one at Madison Square Garden.
All right.
And before, we just have either like fashion shows and music concerts, or that seems to attract a young crowd and get celebrities involved, and it's fun.
And get money for breasts for younger women. Who one of the things you guys do is if women who don't have insurance.
Right.
I thought was absolutely wonderful. Isn't that amazing? If they don't have insurance, then you guys have that. That's really, really wow. Okay, great. You need a Long Island chapter here?
I actually wanted to start something last year, and just so much, goes on with trying to recover.
I have the status and everything like that. I mean, if you guys are interested, we'll talk it.
Live television. We have a Long Island chapter. Look at this. This is not bad. Okay, great. Tell me, well, my gosh, hats off to you, really.
Well, I'm really lucky to have Connie Britton involved. I mean, I had a children's studio, and Connie had worked there, so we were friends. And when you have a good, celebrity, on board, and then she got a lot of her friends to come to things, so I was lucky.
Yeah, okay. This is great. Wow, okay. Breast cancer, how is the experience different for young women? Let's talk about that.
Oh God, I
think it's different for me and her. It's even so different.
Tell me, go ahead.
Well, I think something that you touched upon and we talked about was when you go to support groups when you're diagnosed with breast cancer, you do see a lot of women who are much older and they're in a very different position. A lot of them, for me, it was they had children, they had gotten married, they had done that part of their life already, and here I was at the time still single. I don't have children, and I was thinking about issues like infertility caused by chemotherapy. I wanted to discuss that. I wanted to discuss how it felt to be a 25-year-old woman with a saline implant with still going out and flirting and hanging out at clubs and things like that. And it's a very, very scary predicament that you're in, and you feel like very, very alone.
Okay, right. I mean, how did that feel to have a saline implant at that age?
I was scared because I loved to flirt when I was sick before this happened. And then afterwards I felt like, oh my God, I can't go out anymore and I don't want to talk to guys. I felt like an outcast, I guess, in a way.
Right. Because you were telling me your breasts are very important to you. We were talking before.
Definitely. And for any woman, I think anybody who says different, it's like a lie. Like a lot of times you'll read in books, it's like, I'm just happy to be alive. Yes, we're happy to be alive, but I want to look feminine. I want to be in one piece. That was a big issue for me.
Right, you're a sexual being, and that's the way you express it, which is absolutely fine. Hey, Mary, how you doing? We have a caller. Mary? Hello, Mary, are you there? Okay. You can call back, Mary. Okay, back to breasts. What we're saying. Tell me how is that different? I mean, obviously you were married at the time.
Yeah.
So for you it was a different.
Yeah, it was different also because I had just had a newborn baby.
That's mind blowing to me. I'm sorry.
It takes a
foundation is great.
Yeah, that's book material right there.
Yeah. And then go ahead.
I also had a 4-year-old.
Okay.
So my issues are very different from even Jessica's or someone older because I had issues like, what do I do with my children while I have my chemo? And I was going to watch them, and I didn't want them to be around when I was sick. And
because you're out, when you have chemo, that's it, you're just...
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it wasn't so bad, and as it went on, it was exhausting. I was sick in bed for a day, and then as it went on, it was 2, 3, 4 days, 5 days.
Did you do every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks?
Every 3.
You did every 3?
I did 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I had different treatment.
More breast cancer talk. Time lost.
There's all types of chemotherapy that's given depending on the severity of your cancer. Obviously, if you have a tumor that's larger in size, which ours wasn't, hers was very tiny. Mine was 1 centimeter, which is tiny. I think hers was like 8 millimeters.
Right.
And
tiny?
Yeah.
Since we both had invasive cancers, which mean that they're breaking through the ducts, because in a breast you have ducts. Okay, so imagine a straight line. Invasive cancer would be breaking through that straight line. Okay. Therefore,
like when you see a picture on a mammogram, which we should talk about as well.
Right. Therefore, it has the ability to go into the bloodstream. If it goes into the bloodstream, it has the ability to go make a colony somewhere else, like liver, lungs, something like that. That's why they do something called preventative chemo now, which they didn't have years ago. When my grandmother had breast cancer years ago, there was no such thing as preventative chemo. They just waited to see if you had a recurrence.
Right. And now you had it in your family, breast cancer, right?
My grandmother on my father's mother, which they don't feel is related. When you say it's my father's side.
Okay, so they say the mother's side is related.
And mine was the same thing. My father's mother had it.
So that's going against what they said.
Yeah, so they don't really consider that a risk factor.
Okay, all right. How about you? That's right. You were, which is unfortunate.
I have no idea.
You're
I don't
adopted,
have records, right?
Which is wow.
So
okay.
But they say for women under 38, 90% of women that get breast cancer at that age, no family history. So
wow.
There's got to be other factors involved.
Right.
Besides
something on Long Island.
Okay. Which you're also from Long Island. Right. We're all from Long Island.
No, I'm not. I'm from Philadelphia, but I lived in Long Island.
You lived in Long Island.
Right, and I've been living in New York for quite a while.
Right, okay. Talk to me more. I know there were other issues as well about your husband and stuff, which was going on.
Yeah, I mean, most of it was really children and carpooling and things like that. And I was going through a divorce at that time. It turned into going into a divorce at the time. So my husband was not supportive. So it made it really difficult.
Which part of it was that I think he
was this the catalyst?
Yeah, that's the reason why he left. One of the reasons.
Well, it was it's a whole long story.
Unbelievable.
That's when it ended.
Okay, men bashing. Isn't that?
So he was still there. He was unsupportive and
freaked out because, oh my God, I'm going to lose her forever.
That's what I think, and he fell in love with someone else. So
that's another fact.
I don't know.
Right.
We had a newborn. We had a 4-year-old all the pressures. I don't know.
No, were there problems before?
No. It all started.
Hey, go ahead, take over. You want to switch seats? Okay.
It all started at the time I was diagnosed.
Lobby. Sorry about that.
That's right. She was in the bathroom doing her makeup, okay? But
yeah.
she wants to date. That's what she came on, actually. She's telling the truth.
It's the truth.
So tell the truth. I'm sorry. Okay. So
You promised
We
us.
got the foundation number. I'll give him your number. Okay, anyway. But in your case,
I think
the
that
man was supportive as anything. You're engaged now.
yeah, but wait, that's not totally true. I think in most cases, a young woman, it's you get a guy and they're not ready to say, oh my God, now I have a responsibility of not only a commitment to this young woman, but now I have to be committed to helping her through a life-threatening illness. So no, John was not always, by my side. In fact, we had a lot of problems throughout the whole thing where he felt that he was just so angry that a lot of times he would take it out on me. If I'd come home from a chemotherapy treatment, there was a lot of yelling that was going on.
Angry at what? At
He was
you?
angry at the fact
that you got sick?
No, he was angry at the fact that this happened to us. Not that how could you do this and ruin our lives. It was, why is this happening to you? So he didn't know how to vent, so it became directed at me. And that was really tough to go through,
Wow.
And I think a lot of people, if you go through something like this, you should go and get counseling to work through it. I mean, you need to talk it out. You need to.
My oncologist told me that it seems with young women who have breast cancer, they have a harder time with their spouse dealing with it than older women. And they see that with the older people, it brings them closer together. Young people, it tears them apart.
I agree with that.
And you think if you went through therapy, I mean, you did it again, you'd go through therapy?
I did go through.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
I
my
went and I
gosh.
saw a counselor during it, and then I went off on my own. I felt that the easier way for me to get back on track mentally was to do a lot of volunteer work. So I started volunteering right in the middle of my chemotherapy, and I still volunteer with the Delphi's Breast Cancer Hotline, which is excellent program.
Which was a support group for you, actually, essentially.
It was a support group, and then I became a volunteer.
Okay, all right. We do have a caller, Lisa. Lisa, you there?
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening. I have a question of the panel of the ladies, if anyone knows it. When I had my children, I was urged to breastfeed, and I was told, not by the doctors, but by a midwife and some other people, some friends of mine, they said that if you breastfeed, you will not have cancer. It's like a preventive factor, a measure. I wonder if any of you heard it.
Yeah. I've heard that. It's a fallacy. It's not true at all.
Really?
It's not
Interesting.
true.
Because I breastfed with my daughter and didn't have
And you breastfed?
Now with my son.
Okay, but then you had
my daughter was older.
Right. Okay.
And I breastfed with her.
Okay.
They say it could maybe help. It could help, but
Right.
but I don't believe it.
Well, interesting.
Lisa, do you have breast cancer? Or
No,
have you-
I
don't?
don't. No, and I did have children and I did breastfeed, but I was told that was I was just interested if that is true or not. I never really gave it much thought.
Okay. And can I ask how old you are?
Yes, I'm 44.
And of course you're going for your mammogram. Well, you already had it, right?
No.
Appointment this week.
Okay, Janice, who's the foundation, says you got to
going
make it this
an
week.
appointment
Are you going to
this
make it this week?
Well, not this week, but thank you. I'll think about it. I really think so. You're right.
Or at least learn how to do a breast self-examination, which is
Right.
how you found it.
Right.
As you.
Yeah, well, I am doing that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. It's a very, very enjoyable program, and I'm enjoying listening. Thank you, ladies.
Great. Thank you so much for calling in. My breast cancer posse. That's what I call you guys. This is great. This is very cool. Okay. Tell me now. How about you? In terms of how's the different experience you think for young women versus older women?
Well, yeah, it really depends, I think, upon how severe the cancer is, first of all, and so that, if you're having a mastectomy, that's just a huge change.
Yeah, which is so different than...
Right, it's completely different than the lumpectomy experience. But also, afterwards, I think that there is a cleansing process that takes place that you wouldn't date a guy that doesn't get it, that would judge you about that afterwards.
Exactly.
And that sort of goes for your whole life. It's like friends that maybe you sort of questioned or weren't so sure that you wanted to continue a relationship with. Once you have breast cancer, like that's it. You just clean out all the old yucky stuff and just keep the quality.
I think that's true too, because I think that somebody that's willing to break up with you because you got sick isn't worth your time on this planet anyway.
Right.
That just seems like a really sad thing for a man to do to a woman. I've seen it happen, not just in Gina's case, but I know other women that went through divorces when they got sick, and it just seems like an excuse to me to leave.
I mean, is it good to say they're better off? I guess maybe in the end. They got rid of this guy that's a bum.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But you went through it. I mean, are you better off in a way?
Well, I just think everything that happens in life happens for a reason. This is where I am today, and I have no regrets. This is it. This is where I am, and I'm happy. So.
Okay. Talked about dating with breast cancer. I mean, isn't that a totally different, completely different experience? You guys? I mean, do you tell him? Do you not tell him? I know that I must say you went on your first blind date.
I haven't.
No.
We don't need to talk about this.
Okay. But you are dating.
No, I'm just starting to date, and that's a question, I think, do you discuss it or not? And I don't think it's important in the beginning. I guess if it goes on into a relationship or it seems like it's heading that way. Unless they know,
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it doesn't bother you. I mean, maybe it would bother some women who have one smaller than the other. I'm not picking on you, but you know what I'm saying? Is that like in your mind, do you feel less feminine or less attractive in any way?
It really doesn't bother me. It really doesn't.
No? Okay. Oh, what was that?
I said, no, I don't know anyone that it bothers.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Right. No, I mean, this is questions that people, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think your question is justified in a way, because if you're someone like myself who had a mastectomy, sure. I mean, I'm not, and I haven't been. I'm faithful to my fiance, but if I was out there, God, that would be kind of like, I wouldn't want to take off my shirt and be like, surprise! That's something you're going to have to discuss, and obviously either the guy's going to be very accepting or he's going to be like, whoa, let's step back for a minute and watch this happen. So you're going to have to you have to kind of brace them for the situation. Just like anything. Like, I would want to know if a man had testicular cancer, not that I'd be sickened by it, but I'd like to know, because I'd ask him afterwards, why didn't you tell me?
Okay.
Sure.
When you get
are they different looking? Does one look different than the other?
Absolutely. One feels like a real breast, and one's hard as a rock. They're very.
Really?
I mean, a saline implant is hard.
So wait, why didn't you go the soft kind?
Silicone to me is not worth it because it's dangerous in my eyes.
That's not even a question. That's not even a question.
Well, they're trying to put it back on the market for me. It's not something that I would ever toss around in my mind.
Of course
to
not.
do.
No way. I mean,
I don't know anyone who would do it.
Who would do something like that?
Well, it is accepted now by the FDA again. My plastic surgeon was like, oh, it's so much better, do it. But I had enough headaches. I don't need to worry about something leaking and causing a neurological problem, so it wasn't an option for me.
Okay. We have a caller, Teresa. Teresa, are you there?
Yes, hi. I was wondering, you're talking about saline and silicone implants. Has there been much mention, or are the ladies familiar with the free tram flap?
Yes, I'm totally familiar with the free tram flap, but I could not become a candidate for a free tram flap, and one of the reasons is I don't know how to put this eloquently, but
You're just kidding.
Thank you. You have to have a sort of I'll say it like my plastic surgeon said, fat pad, where you can take fat out of it and make a breast mound out of it. And obviously I didn't weigh enough in that section. But there are women who are thinner, and they have, like a lot of women who even have children, have some extra fat in that area, and they can pull it up. And it is a much better feel, and I've seen the results, and it looks exactly like real breast. But unfortunately it wasn't an option for me.
Wow. Okay. Why the question? I'm just curious.
I've heard people that have had that done, but it wasn't predominantly available in the Long Island area or offered a couple of years ago. And I was just wondering if it's been more prevalent in the last 3 years than it was.
Totally. I used 2 plastic surgeons, and they both had brought it up and said, obviously it's not an option for you, but this is, and they even showed me how it's done. And I have a couple of friends who did have it, and they had it in Long Island, and wonderful results. I mean, really amazing what they can do nowadays.
Wow. So it's like a free tummy tuck.
Yes, right? You get a tummy tuck. No, but that's what they tell you.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
a tummy tuck, but the only thing is that your abs will never be the same again afterwards.
And the
Because
scarring is
scarring
is
severe.
severe.
Recovery
Okay.
is much longer.
Yeah,
recovery,
and
yeah.
the surgery is 6-hour surgery.
It's possible to have children afterwards. They have had people that have had children after having an operation, so it's not a fait accompli or a lost cause. So
Right.
Right.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, of course, how old are you?
42.
And what's my next question?
I did my breast check last week.
And good? Yes? Very good. Come on, guys.
If you have time for another question, I was wondering what the progress, if any, has been made in isolating factors that may have contributed to the high incidence of breast cancer on Long Island.
I know 1 in 9 does a lot of research, but of course I haven't seen anything. That's one of my biggest problems, is that there's not enough awareness, there's not enough feedback going on right now. There's a lot of fundraisers that I see, but I haven't really seen any progress in recent months that I've wanted to hear some new news.
Something on the news last night or the night before said that finally they were going to do some research. It was on New York One.
Right. I mean, they've been doing
They
research.
were finally going to start to do it, but yeah, Long Island's got it.
Well, they found where I grew up, where I lived,
Which
there's
is where?
Comac.
Comac.
I live down the block from where Rosie O'Donnell lived, and she was on a show, and they showed the mapping of all the breast cancer in our development.
Right, right. I've heard water. I've heard so many different studies, but yeah, I guess I always say if it was a man disease, we wouldn't have it. But anyway, thank you so much for calling, Teresa.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosie O'Donnell did such a funny thing. I gotta tell you guys today on the show. She did this like little song. It's called "Check My Boob, Check My Boob." And she was like doing this on air. She's like, "Check my boob." There's like a whole thing of it, but obviously I tried to get the lyrics, but I didn't. Come on, ladies, check your boobs. Come on.
Like,
What?
check this
Come
one and I don't know. I don't think it was.
All right, you got 30 seconds. Any advice to anyone out there? Just go for it.
Self-exam, very important.
Self-exam. If you're under 35, you won't find it unless you can do
Self.
something.
You're never too young to start. That's what I always say too. And if you have breasts, do an exam.
So self. No wait. Check your boob. Okay, guys. Mwah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. The Breast Cancer Posse. All right, guys. Please check yourself. Good night. Thank you. Bye. Everyone can wave. Bye. Check boobs. Check boobs.